So millions of people feel that they got scammed. But how did they get scammed out of their own money? What did they do wrong? Were they taken advantage of? Well, that's what we're going to discuss today. Because millions of people over the past couple of years feel that they were scammed into buying a home that they technically could not afford. So I want to break down what's going on at this time, because we are now starting to get more and more reports that homeowners cannot afford their payments and have been struggling for some time. However, they were told that they could refinance at any point. The problem is they are not going to refinance when the rate is not much lower than what they initially received. So I want to break down what's going on right now and how the younger generations are feeling the effects the most. Why is this? And why were they targeted in what many people say was a scam? So I'll break all that down in just a moment. But all I ask is one thing. It takes 2 seconds. Go ahead, hit that like button if you enjoy these daily updates. And now let's begin. So why do millions of people feel that they were scammed? Well, it has to do with mortgages. Because years ago, the mortgage rate went up and it hit 7%, or started going up. And we saw this. It was, down under 3%, started going up 4%, 5%, 6%, 7%, started going up. And then it started coming back down, and people kept saying, don't worry, if you cannot afford your payment today, or it's very tight, it's just a matter of months before interest rates drop. Well, interest rates are not dropping as quickly as many loan officers were telling us. Many real estate agents kept telling me personally, rates are not going to stay this high for that long. It is perfectly safe to buy a home. Guess what? Millions of people feel that they were scammed, that real estate agents and lenders gave them a false promise. And right now, they're struggling. Look at this. It says, buy now, refi later. 84% of recent home buyers plan on refinancing. This is back in September of 2023. It says the vast majority of Americans who have bought a home in the past year plan on refinancing to a lower rate in the future. Here's the problem. If you don't have the money to keep up with your payments until you do refinance, you will be screwed. Just listen to what this person had to say. This person says, and I quote, I was scammed. When I bought my home last year, I knew it was going to be difficult to keep up with payments, but I was told I could refinance the mortgage and bring the payment down. Nobody told me I had to wait for interest rates to get better. And now I'm a couple days away from missing my first payment. Now here's what I told this person. I said, first off, if you miss one payment, yes, you don't want to do that. But if you miss one payment, the bank isn't going to come and take your house. Okay, you normally have to miss multiple payments. Now I'm not talking about 2 or 3. There are many instances where people have lived in a house for, 10 months, 18 months without making a payment before the bank comes knocking and says, you know what, we are going to foreclose on your home. We are going to take it back. So just understand, you miss one payment. Yes, it doesn't look good on your credit history, and it may put you in a bind elsewhere, but they're not going to come and take your home right now. Here's the other thing. A lot of lenders, a lot of real estate agents came out and said, yes, rates are high now, but what you need to do is you need to make sure you have a home. Home prices continue to go up. Home prices historically go up. And that's true. They're not lying to you there. But where they are kind of giving you this false sense of hope is that rates are going to go down. There's no guarantee interest rates go down, and this is where millions of people put themselves into this bind. Now, borrowers, especially the younger generation, are struggling with credit card debt. But here's what you need to understand. They're struggling with credit card debt because their mortgages, their rents are so high. Okay? It's so extravagant what some people are paying. I talked to a friend of mine earlier this week. He lives, here in the Seattle area, and he told me what he's paying. He's paying about $7,000 for his apartment. He actually lives in downtown Seattle. About $7,000. In my eyes, that is quite a bit for an apartment. It's not a huge apartment. It has some amenities at the building that he's in. But again, $7,000. Just him. In my eyes, that's extravagant for something that, again, an apartment. But the reason why the younger generation have been taken advantage of and why many people feel they've been scammed is simple. They didn't know what refinancing was. They had no clue about buying their first home. All they knew was people were getting rich in real estate. Historically, there's more millionaires made through real estate than any other avenue. But what you need to keep in mind is that the younger generation are also the most vulnerable because they haven't gone through this. And trying to go through a home purchase when prices keep going up, interest rates are going up, and we have no clue where the economy's headed, well, that's creating a problem. I want to read you one other comment somebody left me. This person writes, I know you say that buying a home isn't always a good idea, and I believe you now. I listened to some guru online, and he convinced me to buy a home and worry about refinancing my loan later. I originally bought with a 7.1 interest rate so that I didn't miss out on this deal of a lifetime, or so my realtor told me. I've been waiting about a year to try and refinance, but my lender says it's not a smart move until rates are below 5%. But I feel like we will never get there, and I can't afford this enormous payment anymore. So this person originally got a loan at 7.1%, and his lender is saying that's not a smart move until rates are below 5%. Well, here's the thing you need to keep in mind, okay? So there's something called PMI, and I'm not trying to give financial advice here, but there's something called PMI. It's private mortgage insurance. So many people that got into a home, they have to pay PMI, which is private mortgage insurance, because their mortgage is let's say 90% of the home's value. Well, until you have 20% equity, so until your home's value is let's say it's $1 million, your home's value. If you owe less than 980,000, right? Is that 20%? No, excuse me. If you owe less than 800,000, then you do not have to pay PMI, which is private mortgage insurance. Here's the reason why that's important. That right there could take a large chunk out of your payment. Okay? Here's the other thing. If you have a 7.1% interest rate, and let's say your home's, and again, if this person bought like a year ago, I don't think there's a lot that's changed, but if you have a 7.1% interest rate and you are struggling to pay your payment for whatever reason, anything that goes down would be a benefit to you, all right? But also keep in mind, yes, you need to have a little bit of a spread. So a 7.1 to 5%, that's a pretty big jump. That's 2 percentage points. That could be a huge benefit to you. But again, when are we going to get to 5% interest rate? Honestly, nobody knows. I wish I could tell you, but I can't. And this is also one of the reasons why we are seeing so many people currently are struggling and behind on their bills. Can't pay utility payments. They can't pay their car payments. Car delinquencies are on the rise. We're also seeing that right now, a growing number of Americans are maxed out on their credit cards. Gen Z, okay, this is the generation that is really struggling. Because again, they were told and they were promised this unrealistic expectation. And now they are absolutely getting screwed. But I wanted to share this with you because this is something that we are seeing again. This happened last year when interest rates started to go up. Okay, or really in 2000, I think it's like 2022, end of 2022. But this is when things really started to take off, right? Rates were going up. But here's the problem. We are starting to see this exact same thing happen again. And as it does, more people will be impacted because they are being tricked into going and getting a mortgage and then hoping and praying that rates go down. Well, if it doesn't happen, you are stuck with that mortgage. You have to continue to pay it. And if you don't, eventually you will get screwed. You might not be able to afford it, and the bank will come and repossess your home. So we'll see what happens moving forward. But as of today, that is where we're at. So again, thank you guys for watching. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.